Hello all, today we'll be discussing about the complete life cycle of a data science project. In my previous videos, I have actually uploaded many videos on machine learning and deep learning projects. So basically, every use cases that I begin with was with respect to a specific use case, I had some kind of data. And based on that data, in order to solve that particular use case, I was applying some machine learning algorithm and deep learning algorithms. So for doing the predictions for the future data itself. So that is how I was actually solving the use cases. In this particular section or in this particular tutorial, we'll be discussing all the life cycle that a data scientist follows for executing a data science project. So the first thing to begin with is basically a use case that we will be having. So this is the whole diagram, and this is the approximate diagram that I've drawn over here so that you understand each and every steps as we go ahead and till the deployment stage that we try to do for the model deployment itself. So to begin with, we have the start state, and over here we have something like business understanding. So first of all, we have a use case. Suppose over here we have a use case. So I'm taking up this use case, and with respect to some domain expertise, okay, I'm trying to understand what this use case requires. So first of all, we need to have some business understanding regarding this use case. After we have some business understanding, suppose I want to check whether a patient is having diabetes or not. Okay, so suppose this is my use case that I'm thinking about, whether the person is having a diabetes or not. Now for this, obviously I should have some data, right? And the first step actually begins with is basically like my data gathering. Okay, I have to prepare my data, I have to collect the data, and it will be from various data sources. Some of the data sources that I will be taking an example is basically hospitals, right? Then we will be having private clinics of doctors, right? Apart from that, other shared data that are available for most of the diseases, right? Suppose if I'm taking for in the case of diabetes, so different data sources I'll be actually referring to in order to collect this particular data. The next thing is that after I collect this whole data, right? After I collect this whole data, the next thing is that whether the data is in the right format. Whether the data is in the right format. See, the data is being collected from various sources, right? So most of the data will not be in the right format that our machine learning algorithm will be acceptable to take that particular input data for the prediction. So for that particular step, what we do is we actually do a lot of cleaning, wrangling, and exploration. We basically do exploratory data analysis, what we call it as EDA. In exploratory data analysis, what we do is that we try to handle missing values. Suppose if I have some missing values in my data, and apart from that, suppose if I have many features in my data set, what I do is that I apply something called as feature engineering. Now let me just discuss about what is feature engineering. Feature engineering is a step wherein we will try to examine each and every feature, and try to convert that feature into the right format so that it is acceptable for a machine learning algorithm to ingest. So that basically means that suppose in some of my features, I have something called as categorical variables. So I'll try to handle those categorical variables by using something called as dummy variables concept. That I have already discussed in my previous machine learning algorithms, right? So in the previous machine learning algorithms, you can see that we have used something called as one-hot encoding and label encoding to handle categorical variables. Apart from this, we will also try to replace the NaN values with some suitable values if it is possible. And most of the techniques that is basically used is something called as mean, median, and mode, right? So those techniques, what it helps us to do, replace the NaN values with the average values of that particular column. So that is what is the example of feature engineering. We'll try to play with each and every feature, try to put it into the right format so the machine learning algorithm will be able to easily understand what that particular input is. Now, after feature engineering, right, we will also be having a step which is called as feature selection. Now, feature selection is also a very important step, guys. Feature selection basically says that when we are going to apply any machine learning algorithm, we need to first check whether each and every feature is very important for that particular data solution, data problem, for that particular use case. Whether each and every feature is actually correlated to the output that we are trying to find out. If it is not correlated, we should remove those features, right? So in regression problems, some of the feature selection techniques are something called as back elimination methods. So back elimination methods, what we do is that we try to remove the features from the particular data set. We try to find out a p-value, So suppose if we say that the p-value is less than 0.05, we will keep that feature. Otherwise, we will not keep that we will keep that feature. Otherwise, we will not keep that feature. That basically means that that feature is not playing a very good role in actually determining your output. So this is one of the technique that is called as back elimination method. The other ways are basically by finding correlations between that particular feature and the output, right? Whichever feature we are trying to check, whether that feature is actually important or not. So correlation and covariance is another good technique to find out whether that feature is playing a better role or not. So after the data is actually collected, and after that it is processed, right? So we can also say this particular stage as data analysis. Now, as usual, data analysis or data pre-processing. And always remember, in data pre-processing, we have two steps. One is feature engineering, and after doing feature engineering, we have something called as feature selection. Now the next thing is that after this particular step is completed, now see this, we are going in this particular step, then we have completed all these things, right? We have understood what the data is, and we have made the data into the right format. We have done the pre-processing techniques. We have applied feature engineering. We have applied feature selection. We have handled NaN values, and that is basically called as exploratory data analysis, right? Now, after that, we should also check whether our data in this particular feature engineering, we should also check whether whether our data set is basically having a balanced data set or it is having an imbalanced data set. So balanced and imbalanced data set basically says that, suppose if you are trying to find out whether the person is having diabetes or not, and suppose in your data set, you have around 1,000 records. Now, suppose in this particular 1,000 records, you are having like 900 records are basically saying that the person is not having diabetes. And suppose only 100 records are basically saying that the person is having diabetes. This is a complete imbalanced data set. You can see, because the data set range is basically between 9:1, which is very, very bad, right? Now, if you have an imbalanced data set, what the problem usually happens is that some of the machine learning algorithms that you will be applying will get completely biased to the maximum number of outputs, right? Suppose I have 900 records saying as no. So what my machine learning algorithm will happen, what will happen to that? It will become biased to this kind of values. You can go into my playlist and see that how we can handle imbalanced and balanced data set, right? I have actually explained about that whole techniques, right? Now, apart from that, once we complete this whole section of data acquisition and understanding, where we are completing the data analysis and data pre-processing stage, we will go to the next stage, that is modeling. Now, once my data is ready, I have the right format of my data. The next thing is that I will try to apply a machine learning or deep learning algorithm. Now, the next thing applies that what kind of machine learning algorithm I will apply. There are various kind of machine learning algorithms, and there are various ways to select how a machine learning algorithm can be, which machine learning algorithm needs to get applied. The one way is basically with respect to accuracy. Then we have something called as confusion matrix. And definitely, if I have a data set which is imbalanced, I can't only depend on accuracy. I have to go and see my confusion matrix where I'll be trying to see my true positive values, true negative values, false positive values, and false negative values, right? If I have an imbalanced data set, I have to consider accuracy. I have to consider confusion matrix. Then I also have to consider something called as cross validation. Cross validation is a very important technique wherein once we divide our data set into training and test, different type of train and test data set will be created, and the accuracy will be the average mean of all the predictions, all the predictions of the test and train data. So cross validation is also a very important technique for doing that. Then based on this balanced and imbalanced data set, we have some of the algorithms like decision tree, random forest, which will not be impacted by the using the imbalanced data set. So modeling will basically be applied with feature engineering, model training, and model evaluation. In the model evaluation stage, we will be checking with respect to accuracy, confusion matrix, and cross validation. You can consider feature engineering here also. You can consider feature engineering here also, right? So that can be a part of data pre-processing step also, and it can also be the part of modeling step. Once my model is ready, the next step is basically deploying that model. Now, before I make you understand why should we deploy a model, you should basically understand that whenever we create a model, right? A model is just like a black box. It is just like a black box. We give some input to the model, it will be predicting some output. That's it. That is the work of the model, right? So because of this, what we do is that we deploy this model in the form of services, in the form of APIs, right? Web services, you can call it as web services. Now this web services works like this kind of black box model. We need to deploy this model into some web server, wherein we will be creating an API or a web services from it. And what we have to do is that then from our front end, we just need to hit this particular web service, give our input data over here and get the output data. And based on this output data, we should apply some changes in our website and try to show the information that we want to show to the end user. And that is the step that we are actually doing in the deployment step. In the deployment, there are various means of doing deploying the web service. One is basically Flask, right? And now AWS, that is Amazon Web Services, Azure is providing a lot of features where you can deploy the machine learning model into them, and you can actually create a web API from them. And then that particular web API can be integrated with any front-end application, and it is interoperable. Basically, you can connect it to any programming language, whether it will be .NET or whether it is Java, whether it is Python, whether it is C++, right? So that actually provides an interoperability feature where you can just hit to that particular API with the input that is required, and you get the output from that, right? Now the next thing is that after the deployment, there is something called as you need to observe the accuracy of this particular model that it is giving for the real-time data, right? So usually after the deployment, 1 month of time is usually taken for testing. 1 month of time is usually taken for testing wherever we provide a new kind of data, what is actually the output. If the output is good, right? If the output is good in terms of accuracy, then we say that the model is good, right? If the output is not good, then what happens? Again, we need to follow the same step, that is start from feature engineering, go to the model training, and go to the model evaluation again. But before doing feature engineering, we should also consider this step of collecting the data source. Suppose if you require more data source, wherein suppose if our accuracy is not good, then there may be also probabilities that I need more amount of data to train my model. So I may also go back to this particular step and try to collect more data from different data sources. Once I collect it, I follow all the steps, that is cleaning, wrangling, and exploration, then provide my new data to my modeling along with the previous data, and do the feature engineering part, model training part, and model evaluation part. After I do this, again, I deploy it. And this is again a continuous process. As time goes on, right? New data gets created again and again. Okay, people sentiment may change, people lifestyle may change, the health of the people may change, and again new data is actually getting generated, right? So this is a continuous process. So suppose after 3 months, suppose my model that is deployed, right, is giving me good results, but after 3 months, suppose it is not giving us good results, then what is the next step? We will again follow this whole life cycle wherein we will go and collect our new data, do the cleaning, wrangling, and exploration process, send it to my modeling section, do my feature engineering, do my model training, and then this model training, we may also change our machine learning algorithm. This is very important to understand, because some of the machine learning algorithm may not work with the new kind of data that we have. Okay, so we may change our machine learning algorithm, and then again we do the evaluation and we do the deployment process. Now you may be understanding that. Now you should also understand that the reason why I'm explaining you this is that till now I have actually uploaded videos on various kind of use cases for machine learning and deep learning, right? So in my future videos, I will be showing you how to deploy a model, and over here the type of environment that I'll be taking is basically AWS, Azure Web Services. And when I take AWS into consideration, I will be showing you how you can use Kubernetes, how you can use Dockers, to to actually follow that continuous process of deployment, right? I'll also be showing you how to train the model internally so that you can actually do this process continuously, along with the AWS web service. I'll also show you how to create the web services, how you can integrate it with your front-end application with a particular example. So this was the whole life cycle of a data science project. I hope you like this particular video. Please do subscribe the channel if you have not subscribed. I try to upload as many as such videos, and I also have plans to upload around 100 hours of content in this coming 2 to 3 months. So please don't miss it. Please do subscribe the channel, and God bless you all. Happy learning. Thank you one and all.